Wednesday, May 10. Gospel, Judgment, Creation. Look at the first angel's message. Everlasting gospel, hour of judgment, worship the Creator. Look at how closely related these ideas are. When we stand before our Creator in judgment, it's only the gospel that gives us any hope at all, as we read in Romans 8:1. There is therefore now no condemnation to those who are in Christ Jesus, who do not walk according to the flesh, but according to the Spirit. No condemnation now, and certainly not in the judgment. The message of God as Creator is so central to present truth, especially when evolution, even when dressed up in Christian garb, threatens to destroy the entire foundation of the Christian faith. Yet, amid the onslaught of evolutionary thought, God has raised up a church, a people whose very name itself is a witness against the idea of evolution, a people who are to proclaim the foundational truth of God as our Creator and Redeemer. Read Ephesians chapter 3, verse 9, Colossians 1, 13-17, Revelation 4:11, and Romans 5, 17-29. What do these texts teach about Jesus as Creator and Redeemer? Firstly, Ephesians chapter 3 and verse 9, and to make all see what is the fellowship of the mystery, which from the beginning of the ages has been hidden in God, who created all things through Jesus Christ. And Colossians 1, beginning at verse 13. He has delivered us from the power of darkness and conveyed us into the kingdom of the Son of his love, in whom we have redemption through his blood, the forgiveness of sins. He is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn over all creation. For by him all things were created that are in heaven and that are on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created through him and for him. And he is before all things, and in him all things consist. And Revelation 4 verse 11, You are worthy, O God, to receive glory and honour and power, for you created all things, and by your will they exist and were created. And Romans 5, beginning at verse 17, For if by the one man's offence death reigned through the one, much more those who receive abundance of grace and of the gift of righteousness will reign in life through the one, Jesus Christ. Therefore, as through one man's offence judgment came to all men, resulting in condemnation, even so through one man's righteous act, the free gift came to all men, resulting in justification of life. For as by one man's disobedience many were made sinners, so also by one man's obedience many will be made righteous. Look at how closely tied Jesus as Creator is to the Jesus as Redeemer. The moment that his role as Creator is diminished, as the theory of evolution inevitably does, his role as our Redeemer comes into question as well. Jesus comes to redeem us from sin, from death, from suffering, and from violence. When sin, death, suffering, and violence are, as evolution teaches, the very means of creation itself. God redeems us from the very process he used to create us to begin with. It's a dangerous lie. And what makes it even worse is that evolution mocks the very idea of Jesus' death on the cross. Why? Paul, as we saw in Romans 5:17-19, inseparably links the introduction of sin by Adam to the death of Jesus. There's a direct link, then, between Adam and Jesus. In any evolutionary model, however, no sinless Adam could have introduced death, because death, millions of years of death, was supposedly the force and power that was needed to create Adam to begin with. Hence, right from the start, evolution destroys the biblical foundation of the cross. In contrast, Seventh-day Adventists, by calling the world to worship the Creator, stand as a living witness against this error. This lesson was read by Dr. Percy Harrold for Christian Services for the Blind. Sponsored by the Sabbath School Department and distributed through Hope Channel Australia, this podcast is also redistributed by Hope Channel Germany, Christian Record Services for the Blind. It is also available on SoundCloud and through multiple podcast distributors, including Apple iTunes. And you can listen and watch at the same time on YouTube. Remember, God is always faithful.